live in high definition. This is Wave 3 News.
Thanks for joining us for Wave 3 News. It's November 19th, 2025. I'm Myra Ansari. Back in 2014, a Louisville professor, Dr. Anna Full, proposed a shift in the aging paradigm that changed the way that Louisville looks at our aging population. Now, 11 years later, in 2025, Louisville has just been named the aging capital of the U.S. by the Administration on Aging. The honor has been given to Louisville because of the focus on creating communities allowing baby boomers to age in place. Now, Louisville has created livable communities that include affordable and accessible housing and transportation, accessible built environments, work, education, and volunteer opportunities, health and supportive services, and older adult participation in civic and cultural activities. Now, citizens in Louisville live productively and peacefully with integrity, worth, independence, and freedom while aging in place. Let's hear from leaders and community members about how this all happened.
Now that we just got this exciting news that we are in 2025 and we are the aging capital in the United States, how did you do it? What happened in Louisville that made that possible?
Well, it took a lot of visioning and commitment and planning by a lot of folks. But when I look back, the number one thing that people said they wanted some 10 years ago was better connectivity in the city. So the ability to get around without a car, the ability to move, whether it be by foot, on sidewalks. We even have some of our older people now, a lot of people over 80 years old are still biking around the community. It's really a wonderful thing to see. They take the Big Four Bridge over to Indiana and have a big time over there. Our public transportation has really improved radically at the same time. And we're seeing a lot more people living downtown, so they've come from what were suburban lifestyles and now redensifying our central business districts so they can walk to restaurants and to the arts and all that. And really the benefit of this is, if you can think about people bunkering into the suburbs when they're getting older, they can't drive, they don't get out that much anymore. Now they're in the middle of a city that's active and full of life and arts and restaurants and street fairs are going on. And I think this is extending the life cycle of people by a decade or two, it seems like to me. So they're just having this great long run. I like to think of it as they're in their prime. A lot of people, when they say, I was in my prime, but they're always talking about time in the past. Right. Now we look at prime time as every day, and it's an accumulation of wisdom that people have had over their life, and they're just adjusting to what their bodies can do, but they're still making a contribution.
Compassion's about giving everyone a seat at the table and including everyone, no matter what, in the health of the community. And I think what we would see looking back is that we found ways to connect in the wisdom and love of our senior population with the rest of the community. Because I do believe that seniors are a driving force for compassion in a community. They're the ones who have lived life and have so much to give back, but we found ways to connect them with the youth, to connect them with other people in the community. So we have a community that's more of a whole. What we're seeing, or what we've seen over the last 10 years, is that there's been a reversal of how seniors are treated. I mean, they were treated as those who were recipients of care, but what we've seen is that they have so much to offer, and that we found ways to have them offer their love and care and concern for those in the community. And so it's a community that has these great intergenerational connections.
A lot of people, 15, 20 years ago decided that we just need to be a compassionate community. We need to be a loving community. And what does that mean? And so all those years ago, we started analyzing what that might look like, what that meant we had to accomplish in order for it to happen. And so we worked really hard on getting a more caring community, a community that was healthier, that had healthier air, that we knew had healthier water and healthier soil, so that we will all be healthier human beings and be able to have much longer lives. And we also knew that if we were going to have a really loving community in all those years forward, that we had to work harder at being compassionate in everything that we did. We could really affect positive change, and we have.
There is food everywhere. It's in our homes, it's in the stores, it's in the schools, and it's all grown by local farmers who themselves are benefiting and having incredible lives because of the cash economy we've created locally. Our Fresh Stops are booming all over the city. We have 30 of them, and our aging adult shareholders are running the show because they're the ones with the wisdom to know and remember how important this food is and how to cook it from scratch and teach everybody else this wisdom so we can keep passing on these recipes to the younger generation. And so that means that they are the ones that are still able, they're doing community organizing, they're going door to door, they're creating leadership opportunities for other aging adults to come and learn the nuts and bolts of a Fresh Stop and spread the wisdom of the model everywhere. And the aging adults who are at home and can't get out necessarily, that's okay because all of our volunteer leaders have the compassion to understand that the food is important to them as well, so they deliver it to their homes. The way that we've created a system that is sustainable and accessible to everybody is by building in leadership from the very beginning from the neighborhood. We don't think about ourselves as separate from the neighborhood or that we're here to save the neighborhood in some top-down model. We understand how important it is to create leadership from the community, from the inside, and in that way we're able to embed the knowledge in the community and be able to spin off Fresh Stops so that they can work on their own and we can move on to the next community, to the next community. And that's the sustainable model that we've created, and that's what's nourishing everyone.
I'm a Fresh Stop volunteer, one of the leaders. I've been working with them since they started. Community where everybody can get fresh fruits and vegetables right in their community, not have to travel long distance, enjoy communicating with each other, be able to live in your community and not have to go to facilities.
We started first with Kent School. They have helped us set up the food pantry and have now done the medical home. Where we also offer our clients the A1C testing, the blood pressure, and the cholesterol testing, which is also helps our clients when they come and pick up the food from the food pantry, they get tested, which helps them a lot with their diseases. Most of our clients are seniors, and this helps them because they're more fear of going to the hospital, so they feel more at home or at ease doing the test here and not feeling like they're in the hospital environment. And with the Hispanic growth here in Shelby County from 2014 to now, it's been such a big growth. Now we're 30% Hispanic. So it's helped a lot with us in the community.
In order for people to age well in their community, they need to access their community. And when they are not able to take care of themselves in their home and they want to stay in their home, they need to have services available to them regardless of what the cost is for that service or what it is that they need to help them to stay in their home.
These are expensive services and they need to be paid for. As we've had the model of Crusade for Children for over 60 years in our community, we now have a Crusade for Seniors once a year. And it provides the funding that lower and middle income people need to enjoy these types of living situations that we now have.
We are engaging seniors to mentor people for employment support, for home ownership, basic life skills that are so needed. Even those that might be interested maybe in starting businesses or being entrepreneurs. We have many elders who have skills who may have had businesses or ran various types of things like that. So we feel this is a wonderful win-win for our community. Our elders live longer, and those who are poor and on the margins are lifted up to a more sustainable and productive life.
The natural talent of our healthcare system and our community building system energized. And we understood that people wanted to stay in neighborhoods. We understood that people cared about the communities in which they'd live their lives and raise their families. And this community created a network of caregivers that very affordably provide services and community building outreach to people in their own homes. Not only did we keep single-family homes occupied, we kept them occupied with people who love their neighborhoods, love their communities, love the infrastructure. And so Louisville's alive. Thank goodness our board in 2014, 15, and 16 was particularly aware of what was coming toward us in terms of how our demographics would shift. We have grown in 2014 from a force of 2,000 volunteers to now 20,000 volunteers, so that not only are we the aging capital, we're the academic capital of the United States.
We decided to look at this area, which is considered SoBro, between Old Louisville and downtown, to try to look at an area with an existing elderly population, a lot of high rises and a high concentration of elderly people in the area, and try to say, well, what kind of amenities would make this an even bigger hub for the elderly and aging care that would make this a place that people could do all of their day-to-day activities and entertainment and things like that and not have to drive everywhere. So we started to look at the areas just north of Old Louisville and tried to figure out what are the strategic places to start placing more of these amenities and more housing and try to really create a robust and vibrant neighborhood. To make this work, we needed to have a collaboration with the city, the universities, because there's a lot of universities and educational institutions in the area, the healthcare area, as well as just the neighborhood who was really looking for something to be able to create an identity for their area, and this was definitely something that fell into that.
Well, I think the city is reflective of a physical and social environment that supports both our youth and our older adults.
And back in 2015, the Kentuckiana Health Collaborative created a shared vision among key community healthcare stakeholders to look at, what can we accomplish to really create a transformed healthcare delivery system that can create comprehensive coordinated care for our aging population. And so we brought together key community stakeholders to create this shared vision of really creating person-centric, personalized, compassionate, accessible, affordable, continuous care.
Kentucky One is a very person-centered health system. The hub of the longitudinal care plan will reside with you. It'll be a mobile technology that you'll carry with you all the time. It will, if you do have some kind of medical condition that requires medication, it will prompt you when to take your medication. It will be linked to a social network so that if you in fact are not taking your medication, it will prompt somebody in your support system, in your family, to contact you personally to make sure that you are in fact taking your medication. It will assess your ability to understand the reason for your medication, and we'll be thinking much more proactively about your whole situation in life and what kind of tools can we help you select for yourself so that you can improve your health. What we really want to do is keep you healthy.
We had to get away from thinking of the hospital. So you have to actually go out and meet people where they live. And not just their clinical environment, but those psychosocial determinants of good health. And then once that's understood, then we could move, away from a hospital-centric environment. An environment, we like to call it, we're here when you need us, and then you end up with an acute care episode, and it's usually or often part of a chronic illness, and then there's an acute event, and then you're just caught up in the system, and that's how it was working. And we broke out of that by saying we are a piece of what should be a person-centered health system, and not letting people be caught in a system which then just takes you down the stream as if you don't have choices. So educating people, particularly seniors, that they have choices, that they could make intentional choices, building that infrastructure that's there so that when they make a choice, there's something there to support them. And just generally educating the population that the end-of-life doesn't need to be the way that it was. And so the interdisciplinary and interprofessional model just became, to me, not something appealing or appropriate, but something that was a necessity. The big thing was training side to side so that people could say, for the first time, I'm a physician, but I trained with a nurse, and I've worked with a social worker on a case solving, and they really didn't act the way that I might have stereotyped them to act. And actually, they said some things that surprised me, and that's when the light goes on, and that's what's made it all very, very rewarding. In the health sciences and social work and chaplaincy and nursing, boy, just really bright people, learners, and if you'll get out of the way and just facilitate, nudge, maybe direct a little bit here or there, I mean, they will do it on their own. They've had the experiences in their training, and it was just very natural.
We're doing this now here in Shelby County and also in the Louisville metropolitan region, a community paramedicine program. And essentially what that is we identify those senior citizens that are in and out of hospitals or medical facilities. So under the community paramedicine program is partner with our local hospitals so that instead of us going out and getting the patient and transporting them to the hospital, we go out and stop by and do a quick visit to make sure they're taking their medicine or just any other little thing. It doesn't take but 2 or 3 minutes to make that real quick stop. It can save our EMS millions of dollars a year. It can save our hospitals millions of dollars a year. And more importantly is we're keeping that person in their home.
There's actually a radio band that's been dedicated for use with medical body area network sensors. So we have a brief with 2 snaps and an embedded sensor that will tell the caregiver. The other thing that we've added onto this is multiple sensors. So what we basically started with was a wetness sensor. Now, wouldn't it be nice to monitor temperature as well? So we added a temperature sensor. So not only will they get the information on if the person's voided, but they'll know if there's possibly an infection with a higher temperature. The third sensor that we've added, and it doesn't take up any more space, everything fits in this small little package here, is an accelerometer to measure acceleration if the person falls. So you basically have a fall sensor built in. So if that person gets out of bed, slips and falls, the nurse or CNA will immediately know of that. And that could be in the long-term care facility, it could be in a hospital, it could be at home.
For business to get involved, especially for-profit organizations to get involved, there must be some kind of a payoff for them. Unless there's an economic incentive, you might get participation, you might get involvement by the business community, but I think this will be more short-term out of a sense of social responsibility. But if you want a long-term commitment, I think there must be mutual gain. They must be able to make some profits.
The key word there is collaboration. Collaboration is active. So it starts with what makes Louisville and this region synergistic and leverageable. And so the uniquenesses. The key thing is the state of Kentucky, the city of Louisville, the University of Louisville, especially the nucleus, they're aligned. They're aligned with 2 goals. One is economic development and quality of life and jobs here. But 2, they're active. What we've been able to do is create programming. So there's a lot of researchers, I think, that are taking the aging opportunity to look at wellness and to give the world a new chance. But there's likewise, parallel to that, we've seen a tremendous amount of entrepreneurs from around the world that have realized that the aging population is a great opportunity. And so it's almost like the technology revolution has really become not only the digital divide, but now it's embraced the aging America. And so we've been able to offer unique programming, unique pathways, and unique access for those emerging companies, not brand new ideas. We have a lot of that in the city. We have accelerators and incubators, and we have the university research. But we're talking about that midpoint where you know it works, but how does it work in home health? How does it work for consumers at home? How does it work at assisted living? How does it work in skilled nursing? So I think the opportune thing that we've been able to show is the intersections of technology meets products and services that enhance quality of life and quality of care.
Well, it's 2025 and we are super excited because we have been on a track to change things for our elder population more so than ever before, and we did it faster than we ever thought we could. We have smart home technology now that is keeping people in their homes way longer, and that's where they want to be anyway. This generation is really wanting to stay at home, and we're helping to keep them there, not just with the smart homes and the technology, but with the people that we're able to put in those homes to service them while they're there aging in place. For those who may need a little bit more elevated service, we actually have been able to transition these old institutions called nursing homes back in the day into a more comfort and functional setting. We have gotten rid of the prison, and we've actually introduced more of the home-like setting so people can actually age in place in a more appropriate place.
We are living in a home which we built ourselves about 45 years ago, and it's wonderful to still be in this house at my age, even though I'm not in a health position to be able to be involved in too many community affairs. I enjoy being in my home, and it's been wonderful to have help come to my home instead of me have to go to another facility to get home or to get help. The interaction with the staff and the people who come is just wonderful. I know they're here. They either stay the night or don't stay the night depending on my needs. I understand that there are conventional rest homes or healthcare homes that still exist that people can reside in, and that's fine. But for me, I would prefer to be in my own home, in a familiar surroundings with help that is required.
The institute that was developed out of the University of Louisville realized that the White House Conference on Aging was going to occur in 2015, and they wanted to make sure that their footprint was on this White House Conference on Aging in the direction it was going to go in discussing aging for the future. The things that they shared with the White House Conference on Aging has been realized today in 2025 and has helped us to become what we are in the aging field in 2025. They presented to the White House Conference on Aging a model that is helping us to understand that the social determinants of health are critical in making sure that our community, regardless of your age, is able to live quality, healthy lives in our communities across the country, and particularly here in Louisville. It is because of this systemic change that we are able to provide competent quality services to everyone in our community who is older.